Welcome to Workshop Wednesday. Today we're going to be looking at an old type of craft. It's been around for a lot of decades, but it's kind of making its way back. And so I know people are really interested in trying to create different designs with it. So we're going to break it down really simple for you to give it a try. And what that is called macrame. And so I know growing up, I made a lot of hanging pots, all kinds of wall hangings and stuff. So it's a lot of fun for me to bring that back because the students are really enjoying learning how to do this technique. So we're going to start with a basic keychain. And so we're going to walk through just a simple design, how you can change it up and make your own patterns. And in the end, you'll have a fun keychain. They're inexpensive to make, and you can make them for your friends, your families, and give them away as simple gifts.
We're going to make a little small project, something called macrame. It's a big thing, but it's come back. I used to do this kind of stuff when I was probably your age and for several years. We're going to make a small version, and we're going to make it into a key ring. So here's some examples of a couple of finished ones. So it's basically learning to make certain knots with the string and creating a design. And so what I'm going to do is walk you through the process, and you'll make something that'll look whatever design you decide here, but it'll be something similar to this, and you'll have to use fray check or some Elmer's glue clear at the ends to keep them from fraying too far up, and we'll cut those off, and then you can put a little clip on that. And then once it's like this, you can dye it any colors that you want with the dye, and that's what we're going to do. But first, we want to walk you through this, and we're going to cut strings that are folded over. See how this is folded over? 20 inches long, and then it's folded over, so it's a total of 40 inches long. We're going to have a ring like this that I will provide you. And this is string I have here at school. I'll make sure that everybody gets some. And we're going to cut 8 of these. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have 8 of them cut that 40 inches, because we're going to fold it in half, and then we'll attach them that way, and it'll give us 8, it'll give us 16 strings. So here I started this one. I have 2 on here already, and what you'll notice is if you look, you'll see how this comes across in the front right there. What we're going to do is we're going to take our string, fold it in half, the loop end, we're going to stick it through the ring. Okay, so it went through the ring. Bring the loop down in the back, open it up, and pull those strings through. And when you do that, it makes like this little slip knot here where the cord is across the front. And we want to do that for all 8 of them. Okay, all 8 of them, and it'll look like this before we start doing our knots. So I will do all 8 of those, and then we'll come back, and on the next video I will show you 3 different types of knots that we're going to do. We're going to do one that looks like this. It's more flat. There'll be one that's twisted, and then one that comes over and makes a row. It doesn't show up well on that, but this shows up on this one a little bit better. See how it makes those rows? And I'll show you how to do that one as well. Here's the one where it's twisted. Whoops, turn it this way. You can see the row. They did a row, and they did the twisted ones, and they did more rows, and then they did partial rows. So you'll be able to practice and design however you would like. All right, so I'll get these on this ring, and then we'll come back and we'll practice what those knots look like. So now you see I have all 8 here, across here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of, or 3 different types of knots that we talked about. Okay. One, let's start with the one that goes across. Let me show you that one first. That's pretty easy. You want to make sure that you have all your threads very flat. I tape mine down so it won't move on me. It'll stay in place. And so I've got those nice and flat. So I'm going to take the one on my far left, spread these out a little bit, and I'm going to lay it across all the way over all of them. And what I do is I start at the left side and I just go through that loop and I'm just going to pull it just like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for each one of these. I'm going to go between the one I just did and that little opening right there. I'm going to stick this through. It just loops around that one string that goes all the way across, and I pull it down and I keep them in the same order so I don't get them all twisted. And I'm going to do that for all 16, well 15, because the one goes all the way across, so it's 15 times. And it makes just that nice, neat little pattern that goes across there. And I'll finish this up real quick. And you don't want to pull it too tight because then it kind of pulls too much. So you'll notice on some of these too as I'm going, you'll notice on some of these, like this one, they didn't even go all the way across. They created this design down here by only doing just a few, and then they went back the opposite direction. So you could do something like that. They even left a little space in here. So you can decide this is your own design. You just practice the different knotting techniques and create your own. So finish this up. And a few more to go. Just make sure you don't get confused of where you're putting those. And this is just a fun little thing to learn. You can create all kinds of these. You can make them for gifts. You know, the holiday season will be coming up, and you know what? They're not very expensive to do. So you can buy string like this at Hobby Lobby, probably Walmart, and the rings, same thing. And you can create your own individual, artistic styled key rings and give them as gifts. And they will be very much appreciated. So that's the string that went across, and it's still there. So now it's going to be on my far right. And I'm going to straighten all these back out, make sure they're not crossing each other. Have them nice and flat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's called the square knot. And the square knot, I'm going to start with these 4 on this side over here. The square knot is you take 4 strands, you leave 2 in the middle, and you just manipulate the 2 outside ones. So I'm going to start by taking the right over the top of my strings. The left one's going to go over the top of that one, but it's going to come crossways on the underside. So I'm going to lift this up. It's going to go crossways underneath here and through that loop. Okay, so you'll see what it does. See, it makes this little loop around my strings here in the middle. So I'm not really using those other than their tail right through the middle of that. And I'm going to pull this up. Okay, now a square knot is where you start on the opposite side each time. So last time I started with the right. Well, this time I'm going to start with the left. So I'm going to lay the left one all the way across. The right one's going to go over the top of it and then come underneath and through that hole. And see how it made a loop again around my middle strings? And then I'm just going to pull that tight. And the reason I know if I did it right or not is because if you can look real closely, there's a little top little anchor here that goes across. Let me see if I can find one here in the camera. I'm not sure if you can see the white, but if you look really close, you can see how this on this side goes across, whereas the ones like these all do, but whereas this one, it does not, so therefore it causes it to naturally twist. So the French knot is flat, and you rotate, starting at the right, starting at the left, start at the right, start at the left, whereas this one that's twisted, you're always starting on the same side. whether it's right or left. So I could continue that. But in the middle, I'm going to go ahead and find 4 more strands, and I'll show you that twisted one. So I'm going to start with the right, over the top. This goes here. And remember, you're going to lift it up and it goes catty corner across underneath there and through that hole. You pull it tight. Now if I want this to be the twisted one, I'm going to start with the right again. Lay it across, goes down through that loop, and I'm going to pull it tight. And what you'll find, I'll just keep doing it from that side, and you'll start to see how it starts to twist. And a nice little trick to remember is to naturally let it twist. Okay, so eventually after I do several here, you'll see my strings want to get all confused and flip around the other way. See how it's wanting to go this way now? Well, guess what? It naturally wants to twist. I'm going to let it twist, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that and pull those threads down to lay flat. And that will keep that twisting like that. So I'm going to still go from the right, underneath, across. And anytime you need to pause the video, feel free to do so. And you just keep doing that until you stop however long you would like that to be. And you can see each of these are different. So like I said, this is your own design. And you can see how that's twisting. I will come back and keep working on this one. Let me add a few more to it. And we'll see what that looks like real quick. Because they should rotate. So that little bar I talked about, it'll be on this side, then it'll be on that side. And you'll start to figure it out after you do it a few times. If you don't like it, just undo it, try again. Or if you mess up, undo it and try again. So you can start to see how that one wants to lay flatter and allows me to have a little different design there. So now see, I'm messing up because I did from the same side. So all I do is I'm going to pull that out and I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix it. There you go. Okay, so now you see I have those two. So I think on my design what I would do is I think I'll repeat this one on the outside over here, and I'll repeat the one here in the middle. And then maybe I'll come back across and do another one of these rows like this, or maybe I'll do 2 rows in the middle and then do something different. Just play with it, come up with your own design, practice those 3 styles, and you'll be surprised how quickly you'll be able to complete one of these. Have fun and enjoy.
Here are completed ones. You can see that the white one shows you different types of stitching to create interest. And then you can see too that already have been dyed. So you can do an ombre effect by dipping it all the way in one color and then keep dipping the tail in darker values and make it all one color with different shades. Or you can dip half of it in one color and a half in another color. Decide what you want to do. Have some fun with it. Enjoy.